Today I'm gonna make a little quick video here. Basically talking out my frustrations and even some of my opinions on Overwatch as a whole. See, there's multiple things I have an opinion on in terms of this game. It's a fun game, yes. It's an interesting game, yes. It's original. It has some things to it or whatever that make it fun to play and great to play and just an overall good game in general. But at the same time, it does have a lot of things about it that make it very frustrating, very annoying, and almost disappointing. To start off with, just simply start off with, to be honest, characters. Your characters are fun to play. The different variety is amazing to have. The different abilities and the ultimates and the versatility between each character is just simply amazing. Just simply fun, great, and interesting, and creative. The only problem is, when you get into characters, the character balancing is terrible. For the longevity of this game, it's probably always going to have to constantly be tweaked, and that sucks terribly. And it has good things about it, though, in a way, because if you're tweaking the characters, you're at least trying to make it better. The only bad part is why should it be that you're always trying to make it better? Why can't it just be fixed and the characters are better? Why can't the characters just be usable? Why can't they all be easily usable the same? Why is one character always so much stronger than another? Why is it we have to constantly see characters like McCree constantly being nerfed and buffed because to find a place for him is so difficult? I don't feel like that's fair to the fan base and to the people that you know, that are just casual gamers or just even the pro gamers sometimes, because I mean, there's a lot of pro gamers out there and that have a lot of complaints about the characters as well, and the balancing of the characters, especially like McCree, Genji, and Widowmaker even sometimes. It just really depends on what type of player you are, what character you like, and what your playstyle is. Depending on those factors, depends on whether or not how crappy or bad or decent your character may be. I mean, the game's great as a whole. It has a lot of good things about it that can make this game very promising, but at the same time there's a lot of things about it that just need to be really tweaked, and the fact that the developers are so, it seems, almost closed-minded to only a select handful of people that they'll actually listen to. Like, they even said themselves they really take into consideration what we have to say, but the problem is it's usually the top 500 people that they really even care about what they're saying and how they feel about the game and what's going on with it and what can be improved. Yes, they listen to the people in the PTR, but the people that you see them talk about the most, that they're most influenced by, which they even made a video about on their Overwatch YouTube. If you go and take the time to watch their videos, don't know if you do, but they even said that they're influenced more often or not by the top 500 players, the people that are like pro players and make it pro gaming, that make this into a living practically to play pro, which is slightly understandable because you want to appease the ones that are utilizing the most time and making money out of it and making your game more profit. But at the same time, how is it really fair that if you're so close-minded to your whole fan base, you see blogs and stuff. I don't know how many of you keep up with blogs, but they have blogs, and they talk about the things they want to fix, the things they want to do, and how they want to help us get things changed and be better. But at the same time, it doesn't seem like they're really helping. There's a lot of things that aren't being changed that should be changed. like the character balancing. They okay, let me get into this. In terms of competitive, when competitive play became active during mid-season of competitive play, they released Anna, and everybody wanted to play Anna. But the problem was with playing Anna is Anna has needed to be buffed. She wasn't that great of a character. People were still trying to get used to her in the middle of competitive, which is terrible. They should have waited until after the season was over to release this character, or they should have released her before the fact of the competitive season starting, because that would seem fair. At that point, everybody can get their practice in. It could be ran through in the PTR, and people could, you know, fix the problems that they have with the character and make the character better and give the buffs that they need, instead of bringing them in mid-season and people having to be mad because the character doesn't play how they want, or you hear so many excuses like, oh, this character is terrible to play as, and that's just not fair to anybody, because then nobody gets to play the character that they really want to play, and then they do get to play the new character and the character's not even good. Like, that's not fair. That sucks so bad that you bring out a new character, you bring out the hype, and then the character sucks, like, and it needs to be buffed because he's not strong enough, not good enough, and just frustrating to deal with. And I can understand there's a lot going on. They're trying different game modes. It's a whole new experience for maybe them as well as us. But at the same time, if you're going to do the things you're going to do, you at least have to be more attentive to the audience and to the people you're playing with. You said they want to appease us. They want to make us happy by making things easier and more enjoyable for us. But at the same time, they're not doing that at all if they're not willing to fix some things. Like, okay, competitive is terrible not because of the whole, it took them till pretty much middle of competitive to figure out, oh, we don't need to do doubles. So people have already ranked up really high because they were doing multiples of characters, and it made it easier for them to rank up and get to a certain point and pretty much stay steady at that point, just based on the fact that, oh, they had already built themselves up by having multiple characters, instead of they could have done that a long time ago and kept it to where only single player, only one of per character is in the match. But they didn't want to do that. For whatever reason, they thought it would be better to keep it as the way it was. I mean, I'm not sure what made them think that. I don't know why it took so long for them to figure out that we probably should change it up. But it did, and in terms of all that, it affected a lot of people's, you know, I mean, you could lose possible players and people with, you know, possible audience based off of silly things like that, where you don't think before you do, you just do it. Like, they don't put enough time and effort into thinking about, oh, I need to do this. They just kind of do it and leave it at that. I don't really think that's fair that they do that. I feel like we need to
my sentry was destroyed.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Wait, oh my god, live. Well, I'm sure lucky to pass by this. Oh yeah? Well, thanks. Yes, I am definitely live, and I'm actually putting my opinion out about the Overwatch game and what other people think about it. If you watch, this is going to go up on my YouTube channel, which is haloslade if you look it up, and you'll be able to from there see the start of the video where I'm talking about some of the things I'm complaining about. Right now I'm kind of complaining about like characters like Anna and how she's not strong enough for the game. She's actually pretty weak. anyways, back on to Anna. Anna is not a very satisfying character. She's not even she's not very even really good to utilize as a character. She doesn't do a lot of damage. I mean, she does damage over time, yes, but the damage isn't significant enough because you half the time if you're shooting, you can't stop healing your teammates because the hitbox on your teammates on healing them is so much larger than the hitbox is for actually doing any damage at all. Now, not that she's supposed to be a support character. Yes, I get it. You want to make it easier for people sniping, because she is a sniper class, to be able to hit their allies to give off better heals. That makes sense. But at the same time, you never see this character make it to... Okay, let's put it for instance. Symmetra makes play of the game. Mercy makes play of the game. Zenyatta makes play of the game. And they're support characters. And Lucio makes play of the game. And I know Lucio's a little bit more of default, he has to knock someone off the map to do it, but the fact is they all have something that gives them a hedgeway over the other support characters. Anna's literally a terrible choice for a support character. She doesn't give enough heals, significant heals, to be useful to anybody. She's always going to be below a Zenyatta and a Mercy and a Lucio, even Symmetra. Symmetra doesn't offer any heals, but Symmetra is more versatile and worth using because her ultimate is practically like a permanent res as long as it's up. You can put 6 people through a teleporter. It's an instant gateway into either behind the enemy's lines or right near your objective point to keep it protected. Wherefore, what does Anna have? Her injecting you with a boost. And the problem with that boost is it's only utilized by a handful of characters. It can only be used by a handful of characters. It's only useful for like a small amount of characters. And it's not even useful because if somebody that's never had that boost or doesn't know how to use that boost, it's easy to accidentally put it on someone you don't want to, like accidentally shooting it on a Mercy or accidentally shooting it onto a Lucio or someone that doesn't need it. People that get the boost that don't need the boost are people like D.Va. D.Va doesn't need this boost. Tracer doesn't need this boost. She already moves really fast and can do decent damage. Why are we putting... the boost can't be used by these people. It can be, but they're useless. They're not good to have them on these characters. People that are good characters to have them on are characters like Reinhardt and Roadhogs, and I would say Winston, but not really. Winston, I don't even think Winston's, in my personal opinion, I don't even think Winston's a good character to have, honestly. But Soldier's a good character, because based on their ultimates and the allotted amount of time, they get more out of it. Reaper is a good one, because he can do more damage and move faster and just be utilized better. Because his ultimate will be boosted by that, allows him to move faster, kill more people quicker with that. Wherefore the other characters, they just can't do that. It's just, they're useless to have this ult on. If you put it on a D.Va and she loses her mech too fast, your ultimate's gone, and it can be gone quick. Can I see your source of evidence that they only listen to top 500? I actually did say that was on the, if you go to Overwatch YouTube channel, I can't remember which video it is, but they do mention that they listen to a fan base, and even in their, it's not that they only listen to these 500, but they're more influenced by these 500. They have mentioned that their top 500 players that play the game are the ones they listen to the most, but that's the ones they most interact with, because they're the ones into the pro games and in the pro matches. It's just, they're more closely related to these people, which is great. It's great to have a closer relationship or a closer communication with a certain part of your fan base to be able to understand the game better. But these are players that are constantly playing. They're always playing. But then to the average Joe, they don't really listen to those guys. If you look at some of the posts, if you ever even look at the posts, they don't hardly ever reply that much to the fan base in general as a whole, and they do tend to be more one-sided towards PC, which makes sense because Blizzard is a PC-based PC-based company, which makes sense that they wouldn't pay so much attention to console at all, but at the same time, it just stinks because it seems that the things that you really see get changed aren't things that we ask for changes. Because I've read a lot of the posts for certain things that need to be changed, like the team chat versus the group chat, how it should automatically be on team chat when you're in a group and not automatically set into group chat, because when you're when you're playing in competitive matches and you're in a group of 2 or 3 people, yeah, it's great to have your privacy with just your friends, but at the same time it closes that barrier down from you having the rest of your team to be able to communicate with, and they won't change from that. They won't do that to try and communicate with the rest of the team. And the problem is there's a lot of people out there that don't even know you can intertwine between team chat and group chat within the game. Nobody knows that. And there's a lot of people that, since they don't know that, it puts a barrier on communication. Now, if they're in a group and they get into the game and they want to switch over to just their group chat or whatever, then fine, whatever, it's on them. At that point, the loss is on them if it's communication barrier. But at the same time, it should be something, since a lot of people don't even know about it, it should be more or less something that's open on purpose for people to try and have a better chance to communicate with. Yeah, in the doubles and competitive a long time ago, they should have never had that. They should have canceled that out in the start of the season, not at the mid of the season. And the same with Anna, like, these buffs and nerfs should happen before the season begins, which I'm hoping when they come out with the new season and all these things that they're doing, and you read about they're going to change, hopefully these things, I am actually going to play Anna right now, but hopefully these things they all come into effect immediately, and they don't like wait, like, okay, there's Sombra talk all over the place, there's Sombra talk, and nobody knows when Sombra's going to come out, but $5 says if there is a Sombra and she does come out, she's going to be coming out in the season, more than likely. Why would you do that? Because then that means now at this point you're going to have to change and buff this character and nerf this character or whatever it is based on the performance of this character, and that's stupid. They're not going to wait until the end of the season to release this character. So I mean, I would like to see them put this character out there before the season begins, or during or at the start of the season. But at the same time, if you do it at the start of the season and nobody's tested this character out in the PTR yet, then what's going to happen is you're going to have these nerfs, and you're going to have another character like Anna that's going to be completely useless for most of the season, and possibly still really useless. And like I said, I do like Anna. I actually love Anna. I think she's a cool character. I think she's got a cool character build. The only problem is she's not really useful as she is. She doesn't put out more healing than any of the healers. She doesn't. She can't. Even if you're on top of your game, the only way you're going to outdo another healer is if you're like, that healer really sucks at being Mercy, or just really sucks at being Lucio and stays on speed the whole time, or really sucks at being freaking Zenyatta and never throws the orb because they're so obsessed with Discord orb instead. That's pretty much the only times you're really gonna get these characters being that way. But for the most part, like I said, she's not really useful except for on certain characters, and it's frustrating. And it's so frustrating, because I mean, I used it on this Roadhog, but unless this Roadhog has his ultimate, which he does, and he didn't use, his ultimate gets a buff, and he's so much more strong and faster with his ultimate out. Because he's a close range character, he can't be really utilized by that ultimate as well. Yeah, she's easier on PC, but that's because it's a mouse and keyboard, and that's why I'm saying they don't really pay attention to their to console too much. Is they don't really pay no attention to the fact that like certain characters aren't that great then, and some other characters are just too good, or just, they're like, the balancing is completely different, and instead of them really paying any attention to that, they ignore it, or they just take forever to get to it because their fan base mostly consists of focusing on just console, which I don't really think is fair. But I mean, again, it's Blizzard and they're a PC-based company, so I understand why they would be more or less want to be focused on PC over a console based game.
I see the enemy teleporter.
60 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I mean, again, her healing could be, that's why I think in terms of this game, her healing needs to be better. I mean, the only thing about her that makes her so good and even useful is her sleep darts. Her sleep darts can put people like Bastion down and get them out of the way because they're constantly shooting, instead of, because, okay, think about it like this, McCree can take and put a Bastion and stun him for a minute. But the problem is you can't really do that because you have to get close to him first. And how are you supposed to get close to him first? So it kind of gives you... It gives you this lovely little edge when you can put someone to sleep like Bastion and allow your team to get in or kill this character because of the fact that he's no longer a problem. Because he's... Sorry, I'm very focused at the same time. But because he's now asleep, you can get past the character, and it's pretty much like sniping him from a distance, and boom, he's out. It's instant. It's great. And I love the grenade where it puts the other team and stops them from being able to be healed, because if someone like Lucio's sitting there, and Lucio can heal himself, and he's hard to hit as it is. If Lucio, you can't hit him, and he keeps healing himself before he gets his health all the way taken down on those few hits you are getting on him. At least when you do the grenade, at that point, that damage stays on him long enough to hopefully wipe him out before he can heal himself back to that point, to where he won't die again. So there's just certain things about her build which are amazing. It's just she's underpowered in terms of her healing, in terms of her damage for console. This is me speaking for console, not PC, because obviously I don't play PC. PC would be different, but some of the characters are still somewhat the same, not maybe on how they play because we have a controller and they have a mouse, but in terms of certain things, like Zenyatta's obviously overpowered for console and PC right now because of the 50 damage that he minuses from you, the 50% nerf that he gets you debuff when he puts his Discord orb on you. That needs to be nerfed, which they're taking care of, so it's not like something that, you know, is going unattended. But like McCree is a character that they just constantly, they're working on all the time because they don't know what to do with him, and it's the same thing on PC too. PC, they're like, oh, he's too strong, he's too weak, he's not good enough, he's too good. And character-wise, I think McCree is awesome. I think I would love to play McCree and get really good with McCree. I'm just really hard for me to get good at McCree. But at the same time, there are things about him that I feel like even when I play McCree, I'm just like, okay, this just seems a little bit too strong, or this just seems a little bit too easy, or just like this should be fixed. But that could be almost any character. See, like, they're finally gonna nerf Genji, which in a way I didn't think he needed a nerf, but at the same time I did think he needed a nerf. I didn't really think he needed a nerf to his ultimate, but at the same time that nerf is only a 2-second minus nerf, and it takes away only 2 slices out of his ability. He still gets 8 slices with his sword because the speed is increased that he slices with his weapon now. So he still gets 8 slices in there in the 6 seconds that he has. So that's still good and still useful.
At Watch Point Gibraltar.
the group chat, there's an option to take out the automatic join. Yes, there is, but like I was saying before, with that, a lot of people don't even know it exists. A lot of people don't even know that there's a group chat. They just automatically go into it. And, like, okay, there's a lot of people in this game that don't even know you can change the color of your crosshairs or change the design or the default of your crosshairs. There's a lot of people that don't know that. It's the same thing with, like, Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4, you can go into your settings and change the color of your reticle. Nobody knows that. Same thing with this. You can change your reticle. Most people don't know that. It's just, there's a lot of people, they just play the game to play the game, and they don't really pay attention to the fact of the settings. Because they think to themselves, like, oh, it's just settings. There's nothing important that I need to look at in there. There's nothing unique. There's no, there's nothing I can do to differentiate myself from the rest of the world inside the settings. All it is just my sensitivity and and my gamma and how bright my picture is and the sound. And it's more than that. There's more to the game than that. And a lot of people don't know that, and I think that's something that should be put out there for more people to know. I mean, me personally, anybody I add onto my PSN and I play with, or I run into in game and I get along with, I ask them, I say, hey, what do you change your reticle color to? Or what kind of what color do you play with most? What helps you see the best? Or like what do you just enjoy looking at? And if they don't say, like, and if they say something in the matter of like, oh, I didn't know you could do that, then at that point I'm like, well, you can, it's in the settings, and I'll tell you where it is and how to do it, and at that point, they're happy and they're like, wow, this is so cool, I never knew this existed. It's the same thing with the group chat. Nobody knows that's in there. Nobody looks, nobody thinks to themselves like, oh, I need to go to the settings, because they think to themselves like, the only settings I need to know about are the settings for my system and the settings for the game, on whether or not how loud or not I'm receiving people's voices that I play in the game or not with. Nobody really focuses on those things, and it's understandable, but at the same time, it really sucks, because I feel like they should, since that is the case, there's a barrier there in terms of communication, and it needs to be fixed, or at least made aware, so people can at least do something about it. And I mean, us as a community can go open our mouth and tell people, hey, look, you can either choose to do this or that, but here, unless you're like someone that's a YouTuber or like someone that's like semi-famous in the world or whatever, and makes enough has enough of an audience to make aware something like that, people aren't really going to pay attention or even care, for that matter. So it's pretty much something you almost have to force, just so people even look or pay attention and be like, hey, I used to never hear voices on this game. Because I know there's some games where I was just like, that's how I felt. Like, I felt like there was no communication, and then I realized, oh, well, that's because I have myself blocked out of communication. I wasn't aware of it. And that's not, I don't think that's, and I'm not saying it has to be that way with everything. I just think it needs to be fixed with just competitive, if anything. Quick play can be left alone as it is, but in terms of competitive takes communication. If you're especially if you're playing solo, I tend to play solo because I don't have many people that I hate to say it, no offense to the people I play with, but I don't have very many people that I would say I feel like are good enough to help me win a match, because they're limited on their player capability, and I don't have any hate for them for that. It's just, I would like a team that I feel more comfortable going into competitive with, and that's just really hard to do a lot of the time, because it really just depends on skill, and this game has all types of different skill levels based on who you play and how you play, which is cool and kind of a hassle at the same time, because characters that are like, what would you say, they have different ratings for the leveling. I can't even hit a Reinhardt, I'm so busy talking. They have different difficulty levels for each character in the game, and based on these difficulty levels is also actually how good or bad the character, I hate to say it, but how good or bad the character actually can be. Like Zarya, I think she's like a 2 or a 3 star, and Zarya, if you're really good with her and you figure out, she can be a monster to deal with. Now, Reinhardt, on the other hand, he's, I think, maybe a 1 star. I don't think he's that, personally, I don't think he's that hard to play with. But at the same time, wow, I got to sleep. But at the same time, since I don't think that he's a hard character to play, I also think, wow, I'm not gonna let you kill me that easy. Did he go away? Yes, I think so. Since I don't think that he's that hard of a character to play, I think it limits him on how good he can be as a character. And honestly, what gives him an edge and makes him more usable is Ana's boost. Honestly, he honestly didn't become more important or more fun to use or more utilized until Ana's boost. But at the same time, like I said, Ana's not that great, at least not in terms of console. In terms of PC, not really so sure. I haven't really looked into depth on how well Ana plays in terms of PC. But most of the videos you even see when people play on PC, it usually ends up being characters like Hanzo or Genji or Soldier or just different characters that are a little bit more important to the game, like Lucio or whoever, but not so much a lot of Ana. Just die.
It's Hanu.
Yeah, and yeah, a lot of people want her nerfed in that, which is understandable because she can be overpowered, but I mean at the same time that really sucks because she's really kind of almost underpowered in terms of being on this game. It's unless you're really good at aiming, and it's really hard to be fast. Even when you turn the sensitivity all the way up on this thing, it's really hard to be able to react fast enough. It's just the two different spectrums of the platforms is just so huge. It's so so huge, the differences between the console base and the PC. It's just like, it just almost sucks. And I've looked that there's, I need to jump and get away from this guy because he's like intent on getting me. But in terms of some of the forums and things that are going on PC, there's more people being like, I tried reading some of the comments or like tried to place a comment on some of the stuff they put out there or whatever for like console. You can't put a post on the console stuff. I don't know why. I wish I understood why that is, but you can't. And I'm not saying there's no communication or no way to blog or for console at all. There is. I'm just saying I have been on there and tried to reply or put a post up to a update or something that was posted up for a console thing that isn't just from a from another player. That was only a slight reason. The nerfing of Genji was only a slight reason of why they did that with his ultimate, because they even said themselves that even with that nerf to his time, they the main reason is because with Genji, the way he played, he could do a whole team wipe by himself. That was why they nerfed the time, so that he wouldn't have the capability as much or as easily be able to wipe out a whole team solo. Now he could do it if if he teamed up with someone like Zarya, but in terms of him doing it by himself without any additional help, not so much. And but that was one of the main reasons, because his ultimate seemed unfair to a lot of people based on the fact that he could wipe out people like a whole team by his lovely little self. And I mean, I guess that makes sense, but at the same time, I didn't really care so much because I've never really like thought of Genji as much of a problem. I mean, I usually, if I see a Genji, I just instantly, and he's getting on my nerves bad enough, I switch to a distance character like Hanzo or Widowmaker or even maybe Soldier,
I must reclaim my honor.
and shoot at him, wait until he uses his little lovely deflect, and then shoot at him again and kill him. Or I use someone like Mei and freeze him and get rid of him, or I use someone more likely than not. I use Winston. Winston's a great counter for Genji, because he can jump anywhere that he decides to go. Anytime you see Genji use his ability and dash out of there, all you have to do is use your ability and leap right towards him, and he is yours for the taking. I mean, he's a little faster, but for the most part, he can't get away from you as easily as, say, someone like a Hanzo or someone to that matter. He's a lot tougher to get away from, and he's a great counter for that. And people don't seem to understand this game is not only just about team play, but it's also about counters, and this game kind of requires you to choose counters to win. If there's a Genji and the Genji's really being a pain in your butt, you need to have someone like a Winston to be able to take care of him, because if you don't, then you're not going to be able to take and wipe that character out. He's going to continue to be a nuisance. You have to have somebody to take him out, or you could use Zarya or even Symmetra, because he won't be able to deflect them as easily, and their abilities will do enough damage and he'll have to back off, or he'll have to or get killed, or he could kill them possibly, but it would take a little bit more, and it'd be a little bit more of a hassle for him because he doesn't have a way to defend himself as easily, because they're not someone he can just deflect back at. But people in this game just seem to be very unaware of counters. So, like I said, I didn't really think of Genji as that much of a problem. He can be annoying if you run into a really, really good Genji, but for the most part, I don't think he's that big of a deal. That's just me. So him getting that nerf isn't that much of a big deal to me at all. I think it's cool he's getting a nerf in a sense, because I feel maybe he does need it. Maybe it would make him a less of a pain in the butt when you do come around someone that is really good with him. But at the same time, once you learn how to play a character and you get really good at the character, they're going to be a pain in the butt no matter what. Like Tracer. Tracer's always going to be a pain in your butt if there's a really good Tracer. A bad Tracer is not ever going to be a pain in your butt. I mean, they're going to be a little irritating, but for the most part, they're going to run out of dash, and they're going to corner themselves and lose, and you're going to be like, wow, that person is just annoying, but they're easy to kill. Or a Pharah even. If you're playing and you're going against someone that's playing Pharah can be hard to deal with because she's in the sky, but for the most part, she's not that much of a problem. You can take her out without trying. You just have to have the right counter. But anyways, back to the things I feel like the game needs to work on. I mean, like I've said before, you know, the character balancing needs to be improved. They need to work on their release time for characters, because so that way at least people have time to play as the characters, get good with them, or at least mess with them, find out what's wrong with them, and then buff these characters or nerf these characters based on their flaws or their overcompensations that they have, something that to make them fit better with the game instead of just fixing them in mid-season. And I feel like everybody gets, like, another thing I have a problem with the seasons is, okay, there's these breaks where we don't have anything to do and there's no competitive. It really sucks because then you just get stuck into quick play, which is fine, but at the same time, competitive seems a little bit more fun. It's a little bit more ambitious. You get where you don't have to worry about people doing multiples, or you can focus on more on how you want to play, and you don't always have to worry about certain aspects of the game that are just so frustrating. Like having a whole team of Torbjorns to go against. Like, that can be irritating. Or a whole team of Symmetras, or a whole team of Genjis, or a whole team of anything, or Winstons even. It's just, sometimes it can be funny and fun, but there's a lot of times where it's just like, dude, like, come on, it's so frustrating. Because you'll want to be trying to get, okay, for example, you're trying to get better at a certain specific character that you either may never play, or you want to try and learn to play, but you can't get better at that character because you're spending all your time having to compensate for the fact that there's people out there that are playing a bunch of, because nobody likes to lose, so you have to take and find a way to compensate for the fact that they have a guy that's out there playing a bunch of Bastions or a bunch of Lucios to knock you off a map where it's easy to knock you off. Like, you have to find a way to beat that, and you don't get to choose your character that you want to play, because at that point in time you're pretty much going to have to lose if you do and try to play the way you want to play, because you won't be able to counter the other character, and that just gets frustrating. Nobody likes to lose, everybody likes to win and play who they want to play, and with competitive, that's something that makes it more fun. That's something that adds an interesting aspect to the game, is being able to play who you want to play. And in quick play, you don't get that option. Well, I would like to thank I would say Castle, but it's not Castle, it's Castell. I would like to thank you for coming and watching and leaving some feedback, and coming and talking to me about how you feel about the game or your opinion. It's always good to have someone come in on these live talks that I put out there, to be able to have other people's opinion other than just my own.
My team needs me.
I think it's great that we, as a community of people out there, get together, talk about these things that we have problems with, and we band together and let the people that make the game know. Because I feel that that games need to listen to all audiences, all different opinions, and it's hard to do that, yes, and you need to actually almost select a handful of people, because some people do just like to complain about everything. But at the same time, there are some real concerns with the gaming platforms and the things that go on in them, in terms of the characters that you can use and can't use based on what platform you are using, and how they play and how good and bad they are. And it stinks. And I hope that maybe in some of these servers, oh my god, Bastion, really? I hope that in some of maybe these blogs and stuff online, people that are from certain communities can maybe just put a post out there where everybody in that community, like bases of PS4 or Xbox or PC, and get their opinions out. Now PC's really being heard, but in terms of consoles, I think they don't get as much of a voice out there, and I feel like maybe if a bunch of people band together in a...
Play nice, play harder.
They have a teleporter somewhere.
Hello.
Look at this, me and Bubba.
Oh, let's break it!
The payload is approaching its destination.
Heads up! They have a teleporter!
I found the teleporter. The payload approved.
Victory! Play of the game.
Well, that was a good way to end the stream, I think. Having a nice little friendly enemy hello and at the end there. So guys, this is going on my YouTube because it is a live video for YouTube. If you guys have any comments that you want to leave on how you feel or on my opinions, like what you think about my opinions, what you think about the game for your own opinion in terms of the game, and what you think some problems are and whatever, just feel free to flood the comments below on how you feel and what you would like to see changed and what you would like to see different inside the game, and what you think are the big problems are with the game. And the thing is I don't want to talk about just the problems, but maybe the pros too, the things that you see in the game that you love that they're doing, that you don't like, that you're so happy that they did or they took the time to do. Or maybe even put in some feedback of a time that you posted something maybe and you got some positive feedback. I mean, they do awesome things with like getting rid of hackers. I've seen a lot of videos where they're getting rid of people that you obviously can tell that they're hacking the game and things to that matter, and that's great. It's positive stuff to be able to see them doing that they care enough about the fan base to be able to protect it from people that try and manipulate it, and that's fantastic. I don't want to bash Blizzard completely, even though I'm not going to lie to you, there's a lot of times I play the game and I get so infuriated about different things in terms of like how I feel the matchmaking runs, in terms of how I feel the characters run sometimes, and just how I feel like there's no reward system really in terms of like what you get. It's just skins and sprays, and you just feel like you're leveling up just to level up, and there's not really any reward system. It feels like there's certain things like that make the game feel a little bit boring and dull, that you just wish they would add more to make it more interesting, instead of just adding characters and maps, but adding some type of special rewards to the fact that you're like level 240 or whatever, you know, like, or 340. There's people out there that's already got like to level 600 and something, and that's just like, you've spent all this time playing this game, and what do you have to show for it? Nothing. There should be like special stamp, or like, you know, a special spray, or a special little logo that you can put on your character, or something like interesting to make it a little bit more unique for and different for everybody, and give everybody a fun, unique experience, or something to strive for, or to put more hours in for to the game, because they want to reach this peak to where they get these items at this point in time, because they reach that level of time spent on a certain character or whatever. Because like, you can have so much time spent on one character and you get really good at it, and that's all you have to show for is you just get good at this character, or you just spend a lot of time on this character to try and get good at this character, and that's all you've got. That's all you got to show for yourself. I feel like they need to put a little bit better of a reward system in terms of that. And you know, everybody's opinion is different on how they feel. Some people like it the way it is, some people wish there was more. And I think that Overwatch is a great game. I think it has a lot to offer. And I know maybe this is just, maybe they'll come out with another Overwatch sometime later on in life. Whatever. I don't know. Don't have any idea. Not sure what they plan to do or where they're going to take this. They may take this and one day come out with a second Overwatch, and that would be cool to see. I would love to see a second Overwatch where they come out with new characters, a new storyline, and they come out with a whole new setup to how they do the game. Maybe they come out with more, like a different thing to where when you level up, you actually receive some type of award other than just a loot box. Because you level up for these loot boxes and then you just get duplicates all the time. Like, that's not enjoyable. It'd be more enjoyable to receive something more rewarding for what you do in the game. Yes, again, there's a lot of stuff to this game that's just, it's free and you don't have to pay for. And I understand that they only can do so much based on the fact that they are giving you a lot of free content. So again, people have to understand you can only complain so much about something because it is a lot of free DLC. And that means they still have to put money into it, but at the same time they're still receiving money because there are people out there buying loot boxes and still putting money into the game. So they're still receiving a currency. Maybe not as large a currency because you're not buying DLC, but it's still a currency. And I think that this game as a whole has been really rewarding for Blizzard and can be even more rewarding by taking, I feel like, and being a little bit more attentive to some of the things that the player base requests, and not just specifically focusing on just one group of players out there that are on one type of system or another type of system, or that are a certain type of rank or a certain type of area in the world, but as a whole, taking a little bit more bits and pieces and looking for certain words, keywords maybe, and filtering through it to see what people want and don't want, and honing in on that. And I feel like they do a decent job at it because they're taking the initiative and fixing stuff like coin flips inside competitive, which is something a lot of people hated. But again, there's a lot of people out there that are going to complain about this game and every character, no matter what. Like, I played with a guy that, and all he does is pretty much complain about characters, and pretty much said you just need to take snipers out of the game. Well, it's a shooting game. I've never heard of a shooting game where you don't have a sniper in it. I don't think I ever have. Why would you take away a sniper out of a game? It doesn't make sense to me. I feel like that kind of hinders the game by taking out a certain type of weapon or taking out a certain type of interesting skill. I think it wouldn't be as fun if it didn't have every aspect. Because I mean, think about it. Every character in here has their own unique yeah, I think I appreciate that you really like the ideas that I have. I think there's a lot of people that have a lot of great ideas, and I'm sure my ideas aren't all that unique in terms of the leveling up on here being to where you should be rewarded for reaching a certain prestige. Because I'm sure other people that's probably played like Call of Duty that have prestige, and they're thinking to themselves like, oh, if I prestige on this game, maybe I'm rewarded in some way. I feel like that would be an interesting aspect for them to take. Not saying to copy anybody, but to just considering the fact that there's a lot of people out there that do spend a lot of their time on this and pay a lot of attention to it, and even put money into it, even, which I don't personally. No offense to anyone that does. I'm not the type of guy to spend my money on games other than just purchasing the game and maybe the DLC. But it would be great to be able to reach certain points in the game where you're like with a character and you're like, wow, I reached this achievement with this character. I've reached this point with this character where I'm so good with this character that I've had this many hours on them that I now have this spray or this skin or this this badge or something special that you can apply to the character to show that you've reached that point within the game. And I like that they implied gold guns in this game. I think that's cool because I think Diva having gold guns or like Genji having a gold sword is just freaking awesome. It's not like just having a regular gold gun. It's like literally like having a gold object of some form of weapon that you have. Well, he doesn't have a gold sword, excuse me, his gold shurikens, or having a gold shotgun that Reaper has or Roadhog has. Just, it's so cool to be able to have these different types of weapons. Like, I mean, Symmetra, hers is just a little handheld like laser beam or whatever, and just like this thing that looks like a little claw is gold. It's just so cool looking. It's just it's interesting. I just wish there was a little bit more customizing based on leveling up. I think that would be a cool aspect to take on the game. I think it would be interesting. But I'm actually going to end the stream here. Also, again, if you want to rewatch this, I do have this that is going to be uploaded to my YouTube, or it's probably going to be uploaded on it right after I get off of here, because I have it directly streamed onto my channel. And so, again, like I said, if there's anybody that watches this, or feel free to take and go to the comments below, tell me what kind of opinions you have about the game, what you want to do, what you think you would do with the game if it was your game, what you would like to see in the game, what maybe even bring in some ideas of what kind of game modes you would like to see within this game. Because I mean, they talk about bringing in new game modes. Why not us as a community ask them or come up with our own game mode that we would love to see inside the game? Because we already know they're probably going to have some that they've created and come out with and put in there themselves. What kind of game modes would you guys like to see brought into the game? I have a few that I would like to see, like domination, or like a capture the flag. I think capture the flag would be really cool in this game, actually. I think it would be really cool to have a capture the flag. I'm actually very interested how that would go, though, considering the fact that more than likely you'd have a Lucio that would run with it. But that's just my personal opinion on what I think would happen. But you never know. I don't know. So much can be done with this game. This game has a lot of things that can really it's just be drawn into and just make it work. But at the same time, it's just whether or not Blizzard's willing to do that or not. So again, guys, leave those comments in below on my channel here. Give this a video a thumbs up if you do end up watching it, and sorry if you didn't get to be live within the video. If you do want to be live or whatever, just subscribe to my channel, and I come on here and do live videos and just either play the game and talk to people, or come out with a rant, which I'm probably going to do another rant on Overwatch here soon, because there are other points that I didn't get to that I would have liked to have gotten to. Again, I would like to thank my guest here that was on here today, and I appreciate that you watched my video or was a part of my stream. So I will see you guys another time. I hope you guys enjoy your night, and I'll see you later.